Hello, my dear friends, USU community, and all of you soulful individuals that maybe I haven't met yet, but have decided to tune in today. I'm really so honored to be here with you. I know that there are so many places and other other things to listen to, and I'm just really grateful to have you here today for this episode, this solo episode with yours truly. As I always say, I feel like grab your tea and coffee so that we can hang. This feels like a conversation that I would want to have with you in my living room. So, from my heart to yours, I'm really, really excited and eager to share my thoughts today for the episode this month. That I am really, really been doing a lot of my own soul searching and tuning in around, and it's really about this returning back to yourself, this honoring yourself, your desires, your feelings, your preferences. So I'm speaking to you. I know many of you are also empaths and highly sensitive and really wanting to make a difference in this world and probably were raised. I know not all of you are female or identify as female, but many of you do and are. And if you're like me, I was just really raised with this focus on being a nice girl, being, making sure that I was always thinking of others and doing nice things and the right thing. And I'm not saying that we, want to start, this is not about doing other things that are going to hurt people intentionally. But what I do want to talk about is that return back to yourself, to your own preferences, to what's right for you, to what's right for me, and really letting go of people pleasing. This has been probably one of the most challenging areas of my life. Um, Probably relate. My intention is never to hurt anybody, but one thing I'm learning in my years around the sun in this life journey is that, and I'm sure many of you heard this, we can't please all the people all the time. And when you come from that place of taking action, of making decisions, of going forward in life from, is this going to hurt them? Is that going to make that person happy? Are they going to then agree if I say it this way? It really, what I have found is it's taken me out of my own lane. It's taken me out of my own power. And so I really want to talk about this. I want to talk about how to tune into, especially for recovering people pleasers. If you're not, bless you. I'd love to hear what works for you. Please write in, share below. This is also on YouTube in addition to the podcast in audio version. What works for you? What are ways that you're managing your own boundaries? Because in the end, it really does come down to having clear boundaries. And the thing is, to have those clear boundaries, you've got to first know, what are they? How do you even create them? And for those, like me, if you've struggled with codependency, which is when you are making decisions based on how others are going to react, how they feel. So when you do that, and I have to say that I've done that for so long as a coping mechanism. Much of my life, was just in that role. I grew up in a very loving family, but there was definitely quite a bit of, we had troubles like probably any family. My dad struggled a lot with depression and PTSD and a lot of money issues. And I think it was very stressful for my mom. And my mom really, I think, at times struggled with owning her own power. And the dynamic there was very brother sister like. I think it was hard for my sister, for me, and a way that I really learned to handle this was to be adaptable, to really be like, figure out what each person needed or wanted, or what they needed to hear, what I needed to do to make sure everyone was okay. Well, when you do that over and over again, yes, it kind of works until it doesn't work, because what happens is you stop tuning into yourself. I stopped tuning into my preferences. And you'll really get this if you're someone who can be super empathic. You can start to lose your own identity. You can start to lose a sense of your own self and what you feel. And I can tell you that led to some real breakdowns in all areas of my life. In my first marriage, but most definitely in my health. I do believe, that our body, and I'm going to talk about this, our body is really wise. And for me, didn't listen. And I blocked it. As many of you know, I used food, M&Ms, sugar, whatever it was. And even recently, I've seen it just in doing, I believe in everything I'm sharing, and all these beautiful luminaries that are coming in and experts that I'm interviewing, it's a gift for me too, because I'm learning as I interview them. And so I've just been doing a lot of deep soulful work and seeing, oh my gosh, all right, I can see where I'm still doing this people pleasing, where my boundaries have gotten gray because I don't want to hurt somebody, or I don't want to let them down, or I want to be a good daughter, a good mother, a good sister, a good friend, a good coach, and all of that. And that's great to want to be a good fill in the blank. But I think what's missing is first going to, how am I going to be good to myself? How am I going to be kind to myself? What is true for me? And I think that is one of the most important questions. So going back to boundaries, going back to what feels right. And I'll tell you, this is kind of like, I've been working on this for a while, but it's still new. It's still, I am definitely not masterful at this yet. It's going to take time and practice. And I always think and feel the elixir for any time we're changing our behavior is compassion. It is compassion. It's acceptance. It's kindness to ourselves. And so I'm thinking, if, I'm not the only one here that must be dealing with this. So if you've been feeling like, you're in that lane of people pleasing, or not speaking your truth, or not speaking up, or feeling fully self-expressed, then you're probably in a bit of that space of either people pleasing, codependency, not sharing your truth. And before you create those boundaries, like, really, what works for you? What is okay and what's not? What do you want to talk about? What do you feel like is off limits? Right. One of the things I've realized is I love people. I'm open. I love talking about conversations about deep issues. And my desire is for all of us to really tap into our higher self. That's why I do the coaching work I do. That's why I started a coaching academy and certification program. Like, all of it is to help others and myself ask deeper questions, more powerful, positive, appreciative inquiry and questions to help you and I uncover, what do we really desire? Who are we really wanting to be in this life? But sometimes, right? Sometimes in focusing on others, I can forget to ask those for myself. So to even create those boundaries, to create that structure of what feels good, as I was saying, with being open about what I want to share, what I don't want to share. I have been in the camp of, I'll just share anything, and there's some topics that actually I'm realizing, yeah, those are more private, and that's okay. And for you, if you're like me, that can feel really uncomfortable. So before we even get to those boundaries, I think it's important to start looking at, maybe even doing an inventory. And this is what I've been working on. And I've talked about inventories. If you listen to the episode in March and February, I talked about this. Do an inventory on what feels true for you. And that's a great question to ask yourself when you're up against something that you're uncertain about. Should I do this or not? This person wants me to be on their summit. Does that feel true for me? This person wants me to help them with some childcare question, or to help out with their child after school. Does that feel right? Does that feel true? And I think that, does that feel true question is so powerful. I use it with eating. Does that, eating that dessert or that item, while it might look right, does that feel right in my body? So we want to tune in. And you all know now, I am huge into really honoring your body wisdom, your intuition, your inner guidance. It's not just in our heart, it's in our whole body. And for me, that's been something I'm really, really working on, is tuning into my whole body. I really believe, when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune condition, it's a thyroid condition. Many, many women, in fact, I think it's like 75% of women have some sort of thyroid issue, illness, condition, issue. Think about it. Your thyroid is right where your throat chakra is. That is the energy wheel that is associated with speaking your truth, speaking up. And I do think for many of us women, we have been taught, in the society we've lived in that is overtly patriarchal, it is changing, but to speak up, to have that sense of empowerment. I was taught be the nice girl, make sure everyone's okay. And I think for many of us, that's where we see the issues is we're not speaking up. And so it is our throat and our throat chakra. And it might even be a sensation. You might feel like there's a heat or like almost like you can't breathe or choking feeling sensation, not that you are, but that you might feel or sense that. That could even be pre thyroid issue. When I was diagnosed about 12 years ago, my immediate intuition was, oh my gosh, that's because I haven't been speaking my truth for the last 15 years. We know that our mind and body is connected. So before you even look at these boundaries and look at, returning to yourself and what works for you, tune into your body, ask yourself this question: is this true for me? Is this true for me? Because what I found is when I don't tune into that, I am blocking access to my meest me. You're blocking access to your youest you because you're pushing away that core part of you. You're pushing that away. That's what happens. And I know for me, what builds up, like plaque that builds up on your teeth when you don't go to the dentist or over time, anger, resentment, frustration, that's what builds up. That's what's built up for me. And I had a recent experience, kind of a personal experience, and just both on one end with parenting and another end with my partner, with my husband. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have not been speaking up. I've not been speaking what's true for me because I was scared of how that would sound, or that it wouldn't be accepted, or that I would be seen as weird or woo or whatever, or, you know, um, whatever it was going through my mind. But that's the thing, we want to get out of our mind. We want to go into our body. We want to sense and really tune into what's true for you. What are you feeling? What what is it that you want to say? And it's not about saying it to hurt others, but it's about saying it so you can be real, so that you can be authentic, so that you can express what's in your body, what's on your heart, what's true for you. And what I'm learning is that when you and I, when we come from heart, when we come from heart, or a place of deep truth and real authentic uh, sharing, that is always, it's the way. Even if it hurts somebody, which is a whole other conversation in itself, because often whatever that hurt is usually a mirror, right? You can't be triggered if it's not within you. So often those hurts are, as Don Miguel Ruiz said. I interviewed his sons a couple 6-7 months ago, but he wrote the 4 agreements. That first agreement is don't take anything personally. Well, that's nice. That's beautifully said. I have a hard time with that, especially as an empath, but it's true, right? So when you're coming from truth, when you're coming from that space of pure sharing from your heart, you can't go wrong. And it might upset someone, and that is okay. And what I'm learning, and I know this might sound really pedestrian to some of you, but for me, and I'm guessing many of you, this takes practice and time to set not just the boundaries, but to say what's really there, what to say, what's there, what's true. One of the realizations I've had in doing a lot of this inner work, a lot of tuning in, not just hand to heart, but like breathing and feeling, what does my body want me to know? Asking these deep questions to really get a clarity around my boundaries. I had this a couple months ago. I was really uncertain about a question I was asking, and I kept saying, like, what is the answer? I don't know what the answer is. And I finally heard my body say, no, thank you. And I thought, you know, that's really powerful. If you heard the interview with Kate Northrup, which I so recommend that you listen to, we talked all about saying no and doing less. For those of us that are also recovering overachievers, if you're like me, my friend, oh gosh, these go hand in hand. The overachieving people pleaser. I think I'm not the only one. Please leave a comment. Let me know. I can't be the only soul on the path that's dealing with this, but it's like uncomfy. It's like getting a new pair of shoes that are not worn in. And it's like, oh, this doesn't feel good to say no. No is a full statement. I personally, for me, at least where I am on my path, I really like the no thank you, because you know what? It's like, no, that's what I feel. And thank you for me adds that little bit of grace. grace for myself, grace to the person who might have been asking of something that I'm not comfortable doing. It just for me, the no thank you is the complete sentence I've been practicing. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this is giving you some food for thought. Um, and I think the last piece to really look at, the other question to ask yourself, in addition to, is this true for me? That's a great litmus test. So as you're, creating your boundaries, tuning into what really works for you. Is this true for me? Does this feel right? And then listen, tune in. And I recommend you take my intuition assessment if you've not done that yet. It will really help you with what kind of intuitive you are. But even if you don't do that, like really just breathe, close your eyes, go within and feel, sense, notice. Is this true for me? Does this feel right for me? You can start to use that as your litmus test question. That can be the question that you are going to ask yourself so that it's less going out of you to get the answer. And of course, I'm a big proponent, especially for us women, to go within and to find that answer from within because we have that inner knowledge and wisdom. And so asking that question will help give you that sense of, is that right? Does that feel true? One of the tips and something I teach in my coaching certification program, because the whole program, it's not just learning how to be a coach, but it's also really the fundamentals of coaching, but also how do you use intuition, inner wisdom, your body wisdom, your heart intelligence, your higher, that higher power guidance, all of that. How do you use that when you're with yourself and with clients? Are you leaning forward or are you leaning back? So when you ask yourself, is this true for me? Is this right for me? Notice, are you leaning in? Are you leaning away? It's a great way to kind of test and see how you feel about a subject or an item. This has helped me because I got to be honest, I did so much time kind of over there trying to figure out what you and others felt and how I could best help you and support you and speak to you and we're not saying to let go of that, but it's really crucial, especially as we're shifting this consciousness on our planet. We've got to bring it into ourselves first. We've got to be connected, self-love, self-connection, really knowing what do you feel, setting those loving boundaries for yourself. And the last piece is kindness, being kind to yourself. So I started out saying that I was taught and raised, be kind, be nice to everyone. And I think along the way, it was forgotten to say, most importantly, be kind to yourself, be kind to you. And so you might even journal, what does that look like? What does that mean? A question I ask myself all the time is, what does it look like to be kind to myself right now? So typically, that means not judging yourself. Again, we come back to the elixir I mentioned. And this is the piece. And I have an amazing guest coming up very soon, later this month, Erin Abke, and we get really deep into judgment and the ego. And one of the things that I've been practicing, and I'm telling you, I really believe there's been a conditioning around fear and ego and judgment in our world, in our planet, in our society. This is something I feel very, very passionate about, is let's stop the judgment of ourselves. Let's start there. Let's go into compassion and kindness because we're all truly, I believe, doing the best we can from where we're coming from and what we've experienced. So, starting with being compassionate, but being kind to yourself. And so, the other question to ask is, how can I be more kind to myself? How can I honor myself here? I so hope this is going to help you. I have to say that this has been incredibly powerful work for me. I really believe. I even want to just amend that word. The word work can seem so like heavy and significant, but truly, I think it's actually kind of a gift that we get to do this type of exploration. What I'm finding is that just like a lotus, and I'm looking at one on a crystal lotus on my desk, the idea of it opening, when we do this kind of introspection and inquiry and really looking from that place of curiosity, of compassion, of kindness, of love, those petals keep opening and opening and opening. It's a infinite opening. And I know if you're here, you're on this path to continue opening. And what I have felt and seen is the more that I allow myself to go deep and to look at the things that I don't always want to talk about, the areas like Sometimes it's jealousy. I just dealt with that, with my partner and just feeling not good enough and jealous. And it was so uncomfortable. Ooh, it felt so uncomfortable. It was like going in, I don't really like muddy stuff. It felt like I was walking in like murky, muddy, marshy yuckiness. And I didn't give myself an escape route. I just worked through it. I talked through it. And I ended up really speaking what was true for me. And it ended up giving us a space of grace, of incredible connection, deeper intimacy, which is another way of saying into me, I see. And I got clear what's true for me. I got clear how to be kind to myself. And I really saw it's okay that jealousy showed up. It's okay. Be kind and compassionate. And what's amazing is after these conversations, it kind of dissipated. And I've seen this in other areas, right? When there might be fear or doubt or feeling like I'm a shitty parent. I'm just going to say it, like lost my temper with my son and felt really badly. And it's like, okay, be compassionate. I didn't sleep the night before. It's a tougher time right now with all that's going on. It just is. So we bring in compassion, we bring in kindness. This, I believe, my sweet, lovely, soulful sister, brother, dear friend on the path with me, this is how I think and feel we start to change what we want to see in the world as a change. We have to do that work first inside. We have to do that. We get to, is a better way to say it, we get to do that introspection work and looking at what is true. So I hope that helps you as you return home to yourself, asking yourself, is this true for me? What does my body feel about this? What is my body wisdom? Um, don't allow yourself to block what you're really feeling. And again, find people that are safe, but you can be real with. Let it out, fully self express. Listen to what your body's telling you, no matter what that might be. And know when you're following that truth, your inner truth, it can only lead you to a higher place. And then lastly, is to be more kind to yourself. And when in doubt, what I've been using when, I'm creating a boundary and I'm not sure of what to do, let time be the boundary for you. You could say, you know what, let me get back to you. Um, no, I don't have an answer right now, but I will in a few days. I'm not sure. I'm going to think about that. So I have a new protocol for myself. We talked about this also. I talked about this with Kate Northrup, and it is to not make a decision within before 24 hours. I give myself 24 hours to digest, to take in the information, to sit with it, to breathe, to meditate, to just let it go. And then, frankly, I do like to bring in asking higher guidance. For me, I call it something different every day, higher power, source, universe, goddess, God, whatever you call it, higher self, but calling in that higher power, love, energy, higher intelligence to guide me. And that's the piece that's been making a huge difference for me is bringing in that non-human higher energy. I hope this was helpful. I'm so grateful to be on this, to really be part of your life. I don't take this lightly. I know that, again, as I said in the beginning, there are so many other places you can be and podcasts to listen to. And I hope that you are tuning into other ones as well that help you. I just want you to know I'm thankful, grateful, and just so honoring you. It takes courage to do this kind of introspection. And I want to acknowledge you big time. And please continue to reach out. Let me know, what did you get from this episode? How is it impacting you? Do you have any suggestions or tips or tools or wisdom that you can share on this topic of overcoming people pleasing? I think it's really important, and especially for those of us women or identify as women or ladies, to really connect with our truth and to speak it and not be afraid to speak it and to stand in this place of power, not power over, power from within and power with. And that is a new paradigm. I think that's the new shift that we are all looking for in this world. And it starts with you. So thank you. Thank you. And as always, I really appreciate it when you let me know what you're getting. I so appreciate it if you feel aligned to rate, to review, to share this episode, to share this podcast with anyone you love or you think this could benefit. And I'm just honoring you, my dear soul friend. And I hope to be with you soon in the next episode. Lots of love.